And this is something I've been looking forward to because I don't know enough about basketball. And I told you my qualms with the NBA, and you've told me your qualms with the NBA too.
Yeah.
Um, but like hometown stuff is easier to follow. It's more interesting. There's more stakes on it and stuff because it doesn't feel as far away. So when something interesting happens and there's some sort of change in the town, I like to follow that. Even if I don't care, even if like the NBA wouldn't watch like a normal game, now I'll probably watch and I'll tune in because we're like, oh, at least they'll be competitive or there's something different. There's something new. It's not the same thing recycled over and over again. But that would
Yep.
be all the Bulls off-season moves that were done
Ah,
just recently.
so nice. Yeah, so you should definitely watch the NBA this year, especially the Bulls, because being from Chicagoland area that we are huge Chicago fans, and some of our teams are, have always underperformed or have underperformed for years. Looking at the Bulls right here. But the
Yep.
Bulls this last year decided to do something that every single NBA fan across the world even wanted to happen, along with every Chicago fan here, that we wanted Garpax to be fired because they were awful. As president and GM, they were the two worst people on the planet to be the GM and president, and they were our GM and president. So here we are. So we finally got rid of those two, and we brought it over Artuvis. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. And he is our president of basketball operations, and basically has brought on what his style of building a team and running an organization was, which he did with the Nuggets. Which the Nuggets, you'll know, are one of the best teams in the Western Conference and the NBA in general. So coming from him, and he's actually, if you look at his history of trades and everything, he actually swindled the Bulls out of a trade here and there. So that's not surprising in the least that he done that in his past. But he came to the team a year and a half ago and came with a new, I'm going to build this team and do it the way that I, know how to do it and the way we should do it. And we all put our faith into him, and we're like, you know what? I don't even care who you are. You could know nothing about basketball. I'm just happy that Garpax is gone. And, you ever want to know how much that Chicago fans hated Garpax? We had a billboard on one of our expressways that drove
Legendary moment.
into, yeah, that literally said fire Garpax. I mean, this is a fan base funded billboard in the one of the major expressways that led into Chicago.
Yeah. No,
So
I thought
you want
that was great.
yeah, you want to know how much we hated them. So them being gone in general is a great thing. And then getting this guy who ran a successful organization over at the Denver Nuggets is something to be happy about for the Bulls. We saw it last year with him drafting Patrick Williams, fourth overall. That was an interesting pick because Patrick Williams didn't even start in college basketball. He was actually the sixth man. He was a six man for reasons though, because like the first team was already very talented, and he happened to be a very good sixth man in college basketball. Not that, but he also is a very, very talented NBA player, and he looks so far. I mean, it's only been 1 year, but he looks like he has, like, when I watched him, he feels like a young Kawhi Leonard, which is incredible if that's the case. So, and actually, people have nicknamed him the Paw because he's the baby version of the Claw, which is Kawhi Leonard. So,
Oh, I
yeah.
don't like that. I think that's funny, but I'm also it immediately makes me think of the trend of oh god, this is gonna be terrible.
But
Um oh god, Shaheen. I was gonna say the absolute washed out tight
oh yeah,
end that was gone. They were always like, "Oh, he's baby Gronk. Like he's gonna be baby Gronkowski
oh
because of
yeah,
that stuff." And I
yeah.
was like, "Ugh, ugh,
No, but
stop."
Patrick Williams actually has like the very same skill set that Kawhi did coming into the league, where
Okay.
he has like, because like watching Patrick Williams, I'll tell you that like without hearing that reference or that joke, I was like, he looks like Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Like he just has like a great pull up mid range game, which is what Kawhi Leonard started the NBA with. And then he has a great defensive effort and knows where to be in passing lanes and is just a very good defender and is super athletic. And that's what he is. And that's why I was like, to me, he feels like Kawhi Leonard. Like he feels like what Kawhi Leonard looked like going into year one, which is, very promising because,
Oh yeah.
I think he has the potential. And I'm pretty sure he was the youngest player in the draft last year when we took him. He was like literally only 18 years old when we took him. So, it's one of those where like his talent is going to continue to grow. I mean, we're talking about Giannis being in his what, 7th or 8th year winning the championship. So like and if you look at Giannis day one in the NBA to current day winning as an NBA champion, he literally put on 60 pounds. So I mean, this kid could do the exact same, put on weight, get way better at the game, and become a Kawhi Leonard. I think he has the potential, and so I'm excited about that move. And then this year, the Bulls decided to continue upon those great moves that I thought they were making, and they signed Lonzo Ball, who's a guy who I've been very excited about and very adamant about how I would love for the Bulls to get him because he's a perfect fit. What Lonzo Ball does well is he's one of the best guard defenders in the league, which finding a good defensive player in the league who's young and talented and big enough to cover multiple positions is difficult. So getting Lonzo Ball, who's 6'6" and can cover point guards and shooting guards, and maybe even some small forwards as well as he can, is incredible, because this team, if you watch the Bulls, have been god awful at defense. They'll put up a ridiculous amount of points, but they'll also give up a absurd amount of points. So that's why we're not good. Getting defense is going to be an improvement, especially because trading for Vucevic last year, which was another move made by the president, was awesome. Getting another All Star, bringing him to the Chicago Bulls was great. But Vucevic is an offensive player and a very average defender. He's not terrible, but he's just average. So not bringing the defensive, hope that you would want, especially being the fact that he's a center, and centers a lot of times are relied upon as rim protectors.
Yeah.
So you need to find the defense elsewhere.
They
Lonzo Ball
just
fits
got
perfectly
someone,
in.
didn't they?
Huh?
I remember specifically that they just like I was listening to the radio and they specifically they got like a backup rim defender as well. I think it was Tony.
Yeah, they signed Tony Bradley.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they
Just wanted to
signed
put
Tony
that out
Bradley,
there.
who's a good defender too. He's a center. He's like 7 foot tall as well. So he's a good rim protector. But he's a backup, so he's not, we're not saying he's gonna start or anything,
Sure.
but he's a good rim protector to fill in on those defensive sets. Which will help out. But the Bulls also, after getting Lonzo Ball, signed Caruso. And a lot of people went, that's kind of weird, signing 2 point guards after already having a point guard on the roster. But the thing is you can run two guard sets by basically having Lonzo and Levine run with the first team. And then when you bring out the second team, you bring out Kobe at point guard and Caruso at shooting guard. And you have automatically a very dynamic 2 guard set for your first and second teams that are going to run, which is awesome because guard play right now in the NBA is vastly important. Because we're getting into a smaller ball, or we've been in a smaller ball league for years now. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. And then obviously the piece de resistance of this whole quick rebuild that's occurred is getting a final piece, which we were joking about this before we started talking about it, is Craig, one of my good friends, had sent me messages about the Bulls, and I had told him like, oh, Caruso and Lonzo coming to the Bulls, that's awesome. And he was like, yeah, but we need one more piece. He's like, we need a piece like DeRozan. He's like, I hope it's him. And literally the next day, it was like, oh, the Bulls made a sign and trade for DeRozan. And I was like, thank God, because that's exactly what we needed. We needed a final piece to add to the puzzle, because I've been saying it for the longest time that Levine and Vucevic are great offensive weapons, but we need a third offensive weapon to really spread the floor and give the defense too many threats from the scoring to cover in order to make our offense reach its potential that it can. So I'm really happy with that. And we also have Coach Donovan, who's is a veteran coach from the Oklahoma City Thunder, who had to deal with people that are not very good team players and guys like Westbrook. And so he still made it work with them and made it work with Chris Paul and running 2 guard sets there. And what he did really well at OKC before he left to go to the Bulls was that he ran, like I said, 2 guard sets very well, or 2 point guard sets very well. So that's what we're going to try to do here, which I am very optimistic about. And I think this team, if at the very minimum, is going to be a playoff team that's fun, but I think at the maximum, they could be a actual genuine threat to, the East, and maybe even coming out of the East. I mean, obviously there's some big hitters in the Bucks and the Nets, but you never know. I mean, we saw the Bucks overcome the Nets talent, and we saw how the Suns, who were a very, very good team and felt like the champion, were overcome by another team that was just well put together and played well, and their stars played well, and Giannis. So,
Plus, they had some
eh,
young youth to them too,
yes.
which the Bulls do
So,
have.
yeah, and the Bulls are starting to fill the roster out very nicely. And moving forward, I'm actually very optimistic with the Bulls, and I very much like the moves that they made. So,
Is Laurie staying or still
so
headed
they
somewhere?
so they extended the qualifying offer to him, which the way that it works in the NBA is when you draft a player and they're going to hit free agency, there's a thing called being a restricted free agent, and there's a thing being called the unrestricted free agent. A unrestricted free agent has the ability to sign wherever they want, whenever they want, no matter what. A restricted free agent has the ability to entertain offers from teams, but if a team offers the person a contract and they're ready, they're like, hey, I'm going to accept this contract, the Bulls have the ability to match the offer. And then basically he has to come back to the Bulls.
Okay, I
So,
see.
or if he doesn't get offered a contract that he likes, he can play on the qualifying offer that we extended to him, which is usually like 8 or 9 million. It's nothing like super big. And it's a 1 year deal. It's kind of like think of it as like a franchise tag. Like we extend the qualifying offer, he accepts it, and then he plays on a 1 year deal. And then next year, I'm pretty sure he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So like if he doesn't find a contract that he likes, or he doesn't think that the market is quite where he wants it to be to get a contract, he can always accept our qualifying offer, play with us on a 1 year deal, play well, and then next year, maybe the market's better and he'll get a bigger contract. So
So you think
he
he's
can always
staying,
play it that way.
like this year at least?
I I don't know. It's gonna be hard to. I don't know what team's gonna offer him. I don't think that teams are looking at Lowry Markkinen as like this is the guy that's going to help put us over the top. So in that case, I don't think he's going to find an offer that he's going to like enough to accept. So I think, in my opinion, he'll probably sign the qualifying offer and stay with the Bulls. But I could see him going to another team because he's a young power forward talent that people might be able to say like, well, it didn't work in Chicago, but we can make it work. Teams do that all the time. So that could be a possibility.